Hello and welcome to the Failed Breakdown channel. This is a trade recap from 12th of December, Monday the 12th of December, and we're going to be looking at a failed breakdown of the 68.25 price shelf that occurred around 9:47 shortly after the open. What I'm going to be discussing here is based almost entirely on the method taught by Adam Mancini. I'm not affiliated with Adam in any way. I've been a subscriber for several years, but for more information, I'd highly recommend subscribing to his Substack or checking out his website. Okay, let's get into the charts. Okay, so before looking at the entry and the setup around the 68.25 level, let's quickly review the context. So last week, Thursday, we had NVIDIA earnings, and then Thursday morning, we got the big dump down from 67.80. Set the bottom at the low of day of Thursday, 65.40-ish. Friday had a nice failed breakdown of that level, and we've basically been rallying ever since. So all through the holiday week, Thanksgiving week, we've just been going straight up from, let's call it 65.40. We're at 60, opening up at 68.60, so more than 300 points higher from the previous week. So we've had a very strong run in the last few days, but that's going to mean that setups aren't going to be of the highest quality. That said, doesn't mean we can't trade. We've just got to work with what we got and accept that up here trades may not be running as far as they did before, but we never know. We just take each setup that presents and trade level to level. So first thing to notice coming into Sunday's open, we have a very prominent shelf here at 68.25, albeit from the holiday session, so a little bit hard to read too much into it. But we did also have the midday low here on Wednesday. So let's move to the 15-minute chart. So Sunday morning we open just about at the Friday close, push up a little bit higher to 68.64, and then start to sell. And then Sunday evening we did get a small play at the 7.825 level. There was a level-to-level trade in here. I took this trade. Unfortunately, I did not get a fill at the 31 level, and I ended up stopping out on that. So I should have been much more aggressive with my taking profit on that one. But coming into the morning session, so we flushed under the 68.25. Well, first of all, we've got the significant low from Wednesday, and then through Thursday, so we've got the shelf and then the cluster of a couple of lows back here, kind of confirmed the importance of the level. As we flush back through it on Sunday evening, Sunday overnight, the majority of us in the US probably sleeping for this, we've come back, attempted a reclaim, and then failed again. But notice we didn't break the lowest low here. We've come back, fall to 68.15, return to the level again, then dipped again, 68.05. This was the level Adam had marked in his trade plan as a potential for a direct bid if we were selling in a controlled manner. This happened. These times on my screen are central time, so in money time that's 7:45. Adam may have entered here. I'm not sure. We'll find out tonight in the newsletter. I didn't. So I was just waiting to see what would happen at the open, and then coming into the open, this light green section is the pre-market. We start to come back to the 68.25 level. So we have a kind of our if-then statement set for the day. We've got this below. If we flush from this point, we've got the 68.05 and the 68.02 to look at below for failed breakdown in that region, or we've got the reclaim of the 68.25, and that's what ends up transpiring. So I'm going to switch over to the platform I use for replay, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so here we are in chart replay mode. I've got it paused right at 9:30 Eastern time. You see the clock down in the bottom here is central. So right at the open, we're looking at a 15-minute chart. We've had that nice 60-point sell overnight. Failed breakdown, active failed breakdown is the current setup of the 68.05 that occurred kind of middle of the night. And then we've retested that level. That was a potential direct bid from Adam's newsletter. He may have entered at this point. We don't know. We'll find out tonight in the newsletter. And then we've started the process of accepting the 68.25 level in the London session, multiple tests of the level, dipping and then returning to it. And then right in the pre-market, it's the exact same thing again. We've come up to 68.23, and now we dipped 10 points off that level. So the acceptance is now starting to look fairly mature. And I'm just going to start the replay here, and I'll be varying the speed up and down to look at some interesting points. So this is currently at 1x speed, and we're going to get an initial reclaim shortly after the open here. This is something I wanted to take a look at. Because what we always want to wait for as failed breakdown traders is for ES to get that trap out of its system. So wait for sellers to show their hand. Don't enter at that point. Once they've kind of revealed their strength and that strength has fizzled out, we can look to enter. So I'm just currently running it. Let's go up to 5x speed. And okay, so I'm going to slow it down because I don't exactly remember when we reclaimed initially. But I did want to watch that in close to real time. I don't want to see it above straight past, because there was a couple of critical minutes there where you could have easily got trapped. Okay, so it looks like right about 9:37 we're getting our initial reclaim. I'm going to go down to 1x speed, so this is in real time. So it was about 9:37 and call it 30 seconds. This is the critical moment to give it a couple of minutes. Wait to see what sellers have got. You know, if you jump in at this point, probably being a bit over eager. I mean, we have had good acceptance, but we still want to give it a couple of minutes. And it's always worth actually starting a physical timer on your phone or some other method, just to prevent those early entries. And just watching to see how price reacts at this point. So we've had pretty mature type 1 acceptance where we keep returning to the level from below and dipping, and now we've pushed through with relatively decent momentum. So we're just giving it a couple of minutes to see if it's going to hold above. So it's been about a minute and 30 on this clock. When I edit the video, I'll actually put up a proper timer here. And so that's the point right there where, you know, those critical 2 minutes have really saved you as a failed breakdown trader. So I think this is going to go down and dip 10 points off this level at this point. I'm going to bump the speed up here because I don't think it gets back above the level from this point until we reclaim for real. So running at 4 times speed here. Yeah, quite a nasty trap for early longs, premature long traders there. However, that said, the trade never invalidates, so we never lose the lowest low. We never lose the 6802. So had you gotten in there and follow Adam's trade management system, it still would have been a very profitable trade. It's just you have to endure at least 10 points of drawdown, which no one wants that. Yeah, so it ends up being 15 points of drawdown really. If you'd gone in at 26, 27, it dipped back down to 12. So yeah, that would have been a pretty miserable entry there. Okay, I'm going to slow it back down here because now we're starting to lift again, back down to real-time speed. Now at this point, we've kind of got that active acceptance there. If we push back up through the level, we've given it more than 10 minutes from that first reclaim attempt. So you don't necessarily need to sort of restart that wait period, that 2 to 3 minute wait period if it pokes back up again here, because we've got such mature acceptance at this point that if we poke back above now, clear to enter on the reclaim here. And that's going to happen at right around 8:37. Sorry, 9:37 Eastern was right about the time I entered. I think it was shortly after, maybe 20 seconds after here. So at this point, everything's aligned and you're clear to enter on the push. Can see some good delta coming in here. So we get in at 27. First target. Now there was a bit of a level here at 31. A more conservative approach was to take off there. Personally, I held till 34 for my first take profit. 31. Would have been just 4 points for me, and you bearing in mind here the stop always goes below the lowest low. So you got a fairly large stop on this one, just taking a few points. It's tough to swallow that. But you'll see, it does break, it does get up to 31 and then dips back to the level again. So I didn't quite get my first take profit there. Dips again. Those who are more conservative, perhaps trading more level to level. And given the context, we've had a very bullish run up over the last few days. The likelihood of trades following through is somewhat reduced. So it is prudent to take profits pretty quickly, given the context. I did stretch mine to 34 though. So we can bump up the speed and let that play out. So, just in review, we've got our significant low. It's been established last week. We had the cluster of lows on the 26th, and then shelf of lows through the 27th. We've lifted off that into Friday, Sunday evening, dip down, flush the level by 25 points or so, and then start the process of reclaiming. And these, overnight reclaims can take a while, but we then had a process of acceptance that's taken the better part of 7 hours, with one final trap to avoid as it poked through the level for the first time. So critical to wait there 2 minutes or so after it reclaims for that, and then wait for that last dip of acceptance and get back in on the push up through. And this runs quite nicely from this point. So we get second take profit up here at 68.40. And it's middle of the afternoon now. I think we're currently sitting at 68.50. So pretty good trade for a day like today, somewhat of a hangover day where we're bound to be moving sideways, building structure after a fairly bullish 4 or 5 green days in a row. And there's quite a lot of whipsaw from this point up and down, but taken off our first and our second levels, and then the runner, just sitting in a runner for the rest of the day. Set your alerts down to 68.05 and go about the rest of your day. Plan your next entries. Sit back and do nothing. Now let's just crank it up to see kind of the whipsaw. 50 times speed. This is the exact type of day where one and done is so nice, because I think clean setups are easy to get trapped on. So we're back to our entry. I think it dips down to 12 at some point here. No big deal. The lowest low is still holding down at the 6,800 level. And that is that. So hope that was helpful. I'm going to try and do these on a semi-regular basis, at least 3 times a week. But for more info, go and check out Adam's newsletter.